I just turned 40 and I can't believe it. This video is about my reflection over the last 2 decades of my career. I've made some mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've had my fair share of struggles, failures, and even rejections. But I've also had incredible mentors. All this helped me grow as a leader and make a salary of over $200,000 a year. In this video, I'll share the 20 most powerful lessons of my career. I wish I'd learned some of these sooner, but at least they can help make your journey easier, help you grow faster in your career, make more money, and avoid the painful mistakes that I made. I'll share the key lessons I've learned about interviewing, working with others, managing up, how to take control of your career, and some other things. Let's jump in. Lesson number 1. Throughout my career, I've had some amazing managers, but this is rare. Soon I learned the harsh truth that no one is coming to save you. We can't wait for someone to magically appear, hand us the best opportunities, tell us exactly how to grow, and then read our minds when we're ready for a raise or promotion. My advice? We have to own our own career development. Ask yourself, where do I want to grow? Then proactively go find those opportunities that will help you build the skills and experience that will help set you up for your next move. Maybe you can take on some side projects or work with another team. And when you're looking for a raise or promotion, proactively have a conversation with your manager, maybe even a year in advance. Ask them, if I want to get this promotion, what goals do I need to achieve? What are your expectations? Better yet, ask them about their goals. If you help them succeed, then they're more likely to help your career advancement as well. Lesson number 2. Here's a story from my college days, but it's applicable no matter where you are in your career. Back when I was in college and applying for internships, I noticed a job posting from EA Sports. For those of you who may not know, EA is a huge gaming company, and this was my dream job. But they were looking for 3rd or 4th year students, and I was just a 2nd year student. So I was hesitant to apply because I didn't meet the qualifications. But my roommate encouraged me. He told me, what's the worst that could happen? Why not apply? You love video games, and this is your dream job. So I applied. And guess what? I got the interview, and I got the job. The lesson? Take your shot. There's a saying, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Don't let self-doubt hold you back. I notice this with my clients too. If they don't meet one specific qualification, they may not apply. But if you don't apply, you'll never know. It's okay to stretch yourself a little bit. Leave it to the hiring manager to make the final decision. But this doesn't mean that you apply to every job that you are not qualified for. I'm talking about the cases where it may be you're at level 3 and they're looking for level 4. Maybe your other experiences and skills may make up for the gap. Lesson number 3. If you're looking for jobs, what's the easiest way to get interviews? It's not by making your resume perfect. It's not by making your cover letter perfect. It's by using your network. And a lot of people miss this. Every job that I've had since 2008 has been through my network. Using your network is the fastest way to get interviews because these people in your network actually know your work, the quality of your work, and they know you. When someone can vouch for you, it can help you bypass the typical application line, which is especially important in today's tough job market. I have a video about this, which I'll link below. Lesson number 4. Here's a funny analogy if you want to ace your interviews. Think of interviewing as dating. If you show up all needy and nervous, there's a very low chance that you're actually going to move on to the second date or the second interview. When I was hiring, I was looking for candidates who were capable and confident in their skills and experience. So even if you need the job, don't appear desperate. You have to believe in yourself. You have to have confidence in yourself. I have a whole course on how to ace your interview where I not only cover how to believe in yourself, but also there are 30 behavioral interview questions that you can prepare, which will also help you build your confidence. Lesson number 5. This was a hard lesson. I was carpooling and I vented to a colleague about a manager. That afternoon, the manager called me in their office. I had to explain myself, apologize, and suffice to say that I basically ended up with a red mark on me for the rest of my time on that team. The lesson I learned is that coworkers are not your friends. Be very careful who you vent to. In fact, my advice to myself would be don't vent to anyone at work because you never know. They may use the information against you. Talk to someone outside the organization, maybe a significant other or a mentor. If you're dealing with a professional challenge, you can book a coaching call with me. I'll link the details below. Lesson number 6. I once had a leader who would yell at people in meetings for making mistakes. It didn't make us feel valued. It was affecting me, but more than that, it was affecting my direct reports. The people I was managing were coming to me and telling me how badly they felt treated. I talked to this manager, I gave him the feedback. He said, "Thank you for the feedback," but nothing changed. After a few months, I went to his manager. Again, I gave the feedback. He said, "Thank you for the feedback," but nothing changed. After a few months, I went to HR. They said, "Thank you for the feedback," and nothing changed. The lesson here is twofold. One, HR is not your friend. HR is there to protect the company first and employees second. The second lesson here, looking back, I realized that I tolerated that behavior for too long. I put it up for months before I started looking for another job. So the advice I would give myself is to give grace and have patience, but don't tolerate bad behavior for too long. Life is too short for that. And if something doesn't feel right, seek help from someone you trust. This brings me to my next lesson. Lesson number 7. A good friend of mine always reminded me, there's no harm in looking for other jobs, even when you're happy in your current one. You may find a better opportunity or better pay. If you're finding this video helpful so far, smash that like button. Okay, back to the lessons. Lesson number 8, check your paycheck. There once was a time where I went months without checking my paycheck. When I finally did, I found 3 errors. One about my 401k, one about a reimbursement, and one about another benefit. I had to follow up with payroll, and it took months to resolve. So the lesson here is to check your paycheck regularly, and if you find any errors, contact payroll right away. Lesson number 9, my clients usually ask me, what is the fastest way to significantly increase your salary? Everyone says job hopping, but let me give you the insider manager's perspective here. I once had an engineer on my team who was performing really well. He came to me and asked for a promotion. I went to the director, made the case, but unfortunately I got shut down. This engineer went out and found another job with a higher pay, a higher title. So he came to me and he said, I would rather stay at this company. Can you match it? And selfishly, I wanted him to stay because he had 3-4 years of experience that would leave with him when he left the company. So I went to the director, told him the case, and said, can we match this salary and title? So he went to his higher ups and came back with a little bit of bump to this person's salary. And he said that this is the best they could do. So I asked, what happens when I have to hire a new engineer to take over this engineer's job when he leaves the team? So the director said that actually the new engineer would get the higher compensation. Unfortunately, for the current engineer, this is the maximum pay raise that we can give him. So I found out that the budgets are completely different. The budget for hiring is different than the budget for current employees for their raises and promotions. So it's actually much more valuable to look for jobs outside your company if you want to significantly increase your salary. Lesson number 10, the job market is shifting rapidly, especially with AI. Some jobs are becoming obsolete, while some new AI-related roles are emerging. The lesson here is to understand market demand and grow your skills accordingly. The good news is that AI has made skill building easier. You can ask AI, explain this to me as if I'm a 10-year-old. It can even develop lesson plans for you, or you can look at some free courses online. This will help augment your current skills and future-proof your career. Lesson number 11. I once had one of the best managers in my career. She was incredibly smart, a great leader, provided us opportunity to grow, gave us feedback so we could improve, and advocated for us when it came time for raises and promotions. But one day, she left the company. And I realized that I had made a critical mistake. I felt so comfortable and secure with my manager that I hadn't taken the time to provide visibility to other leaders in the company. So other leaders had no idea about the great work that I had done, and some even had weird perceptions about me. The lesson, manage up and across. This means that other managers at your manager level or even higher ups should be aware of the great work that you're doing. And I'll share why this is important. When I became a manager, I was part of these conversations where raises and promotions were discussed. And it wasn't good enough that I would make a case for someone that I was managing. It was also important that other leaders spoke positively about the people on my team. Only then would a raise or promotion get approved. So what can you do here? I would say contribute to inter-department projects if possible, and also help other teams whenever you have the capacity. This will ensure that other leaders have visibility into your work and can speak positively about you, thus increasing your chances of getting that raise or promotion in the future. Lesson 12. Throughout my career, I built a reputation of jumping into challenging teams and getting them to high performance. So my manager would continually assign me new teams that weren't performing well and ask me to turn them around. The problem was that my plate was already full. Luckily, I had learned the lesson to never say no. And instead, I would use this exercise I call everything on my plate. What I did was list out everything that was on my plate and their relative priorities as I understood them. Then I would take this list to my manager and ask them, where is this new project that you're giving me or new team that you're giving me fit into the relevant priorities? Can you please help me prioritize? And once he would do that, I would ask, okay, what are some things I can take off my plate so I can focus on this new high priority item that's going on my plate right now? If your manager is any good, they will help you prioritize and take the lower priority items off your plate. If not, they may just ask you to do everything. But what can you do in this case? It's still important to have the priority conversation. Once you understand the relevant priorities, ideally in a stack ranked order, then you know where to focus your energy. For the lower priority items, see how you can delegate them or automate them. Or you may be able to ask your manager for an assistant or an associate who can take them on. The lesson is to not immediately refuse. Instead, have a strategic conversation with your manager about the relevant priorities. Lesson number 13. This was one of the biggest failures in my career. I was leading a large team, but I was taking a long time to make decisions. I was stuck in analysis paralysis mode. I was waiting to gather all the data before making a decision. As a result, I was slowing down my team. So we weren't delivering the product fast enough to our customers. Eventually, leadership asked me to step down from that position. It hurt my ego and it hurt my confidence. But I learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes a bad decision is better than no decision. By taking action, you can at least learn from it. My new approach is to time box decision making. So for example, I'll tell myself that I have to make a decision by the end of the day. Whether I have all the data or not, I have to move forward with the data that I do have, and then learn from the decision. Lesson number 14. This helped expedite my career growth. In fact, I think it was essential to my career growth. Early on in my career, I was managing a team, but I couldn't get them to high performance. I just wasn't clicking with the team. So my manager took me aside and gave me some tough feedback. But I got defensive. He got so frustrated that he walked out the door. A few days later, he switched me to another team. It is then that I realized that I was set up for success and he just had my best interests at heart. Not all managers are like this, but it is still worth being open to and listening to feedback. You never know the value or the gold that you might find in the feedback. But not all feedback is good feedback. Here's where the next lesson comes in. Lesson 15. One of my direct reports, let's call him X, was performing really well. I ended up getting him a promotion. Unfortunately, our team had to dissolve due to corporate restructure, and he ended up going to work for another leader on the team. That leader was furious that X had been promoted. I showed him the data that showed that X was now performing at the new level, and this is why I had got him a promotion. The person didn't buy it. He even called me a bad manager. At that moment, I took his feedback to heart, and I thought that I was a bad manager. But 2 months later, he came back to me and he said that person X was performing really well, and he did, in fact, deserve the promotion. This taught me a valuable lesson. Not all feedback is valid. It's great to be open and listening to feedback, but some people are just trying to poop on you. We have to use our own judgment and choose what we let in. Lesson number 16. In one of my recent roles, I realized that there was a bunch of unnecessary process or red tape that was slowing my team down. In fact, I noticed that it was slowing down multiple teams across the company. So I gave feedback to the director who was owning some of these processes. He didn't take it well. In fact, he even complained to my manager. The lesson? Be mindful when giving feedback, especially to those in power. Some leaders think that they're always right. If you want to give feedback to a leader, it's best to build a professional relationship first. Actually, you can use this with anyone. Once you build a relationship, you can understand their preferences and see how open they are to receiving feedback. Accordingly, you can cater your style or choose to just skip the feedback entirely. Lesson number 17. One of the companies that I was working at had a round of layoffs. One of the people on my team was laid off. Though I was managing the team, I didn't have any direct input into the decision-making process. A friend of mine who was working at another company said that he experienced something similar. Though he was a director, he didn't have any input. In fact, they were under new management who wasn't even familiar with the team. So it's easy to take layoffs personally, but sometimes management makes decisions without truly understanding what people do. It shows us that at the end of the day, we're just a number. The lesson here, which I learned far too late in my career, is to find the balance between our commitment to work and our personal boundaries. Most of us work extremely hard, sacrificing relationships to do overtime only to be let go without a second thought. The advice I would give myself is your worth is not tied to your job. In fact, it extends beyond your job. Know when to draw the line. Sometimes we're the ones who need to do a better job protecting our time. Sometimes I was working overtime even when I wasn't asked to. Lesson number 18. When I started my career, it was all about passion. I wanted to work in video games. Over time, that changed to it being about purpose. I wanted to create games that were delightful for players. Eventually, as my family grew, salary became more important because we wanted to move to a better neighborhood with better schools. The lesson, what you want from your career may change over time, and that's okay. We may not be able to get passion and purpose and a great salary all in one job, but you can try to get at least the things that you are prioritizing. Lesson number 19. In today's world, it's easy to hop on LinkedIn or any social media and see others who are doing better than us. Oh, this person's now a VP. This person's an executive. And that comparison can bring us down. Comparison is the thief of joy. The lesson, instead of being envious, I can use those comparisons constructively. For example, that person being in a VP position is giving me data that maybe I want to be a VP someday. And that can inspire me to build a career plan that will help me get there. Lesson number 20. I've shared various setbacks and challenges that I faced in my career. Every setback felt challenging in the moment, but looking back, they were stepping stones to my professional success. I came across a quote recently that summarized this well. The universe is conspiring in my favor. So remember that. The universe is conspiring in your favor. Which lesson resonated with you the most? Or share one of your own lessons in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. I wish you the very best. You got this.